Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Fatmata here from Traditionally Inspired Meaningful Art, and today we have another Friday Sews. Thanks so much to Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room for getting this hashtag kicked off, where we get together once a week just to catch up on everything that's going on in the sewing room. As you can see, I'm wearing my finished dress from last week that I had shown you all. We figured out how to make the collar work, my friends. I picked up this awesome fabric at G Street Fabrics a little while ago, and I was just so inspired to use it up right away. I had 3 yards of it, and I wanted to test out Butterick B6702. I'd heard so much great things about it, and I know Talisha from Creativity by T, also Rochelle from Rochelle Handmade Designs have collaborated and I believe did some videos on this. And I was just so inspired. And it's just such a clean finish. It has the most beautiful set-in sleeve, and easing the sleeve in was not easy. I think when you get used to doing gathered like sleeves, you forget how much precision is necessary to do a really clean set-in sleeve, but I'm proud of how my sleeve came out. It's this nice, just like slim sleeve. Has a beautiful cuff with just a great amount of depth in the cuff. It has a separate placket piece and a 2-piece collar. And last we spoke, I had been constructing the bodice and really having a hard time setting in this collar. This is my first 2-piece collar that I've ever made, and constructing the 2-piece collar was a bit more of a challenge than I was up for. What helped me was actually following the instructions that are given in B6702, and what they wanted you to do was actually to, within the neckline, on the bodice piece, the pattern asks that you clip into the neck edge within the seam allowance so that you can ease in the collar stand. And that actually helped quite a bit. I matched all of the notches that were originally on the collar stand and the neckline and worked on easing it into place, and that did the trick. So I was really excited about it. The thing that I'm most proud of is all of the detailing that I went ahead and did with this beautiful rickrack in a matching emerald green color. You can see it here on the cuff as well as down the front button placket and along the collar. I did end up adding it to the shoulder as well and along the skirt. So I also have that in the second tier of the skirt, and I finished the hemline with that as well. So I finished the hem by actually doing bias tape on the inside to sandwich the rickrack in. So all you have is that beautiful sort of edging there right on the bottom. I love it. When I first finished the dress, I did not like it, actually. I had to put it down and say to sleep on it because I wasn't too thrilled with how I finished off this section here around the midsection. I ended up putting 3 snaps here along the top part of the first tier of the skirt, and then I stitched the rest of it closed so it doesn't button up all the way down the front. I cut the wrong size. I cut a size 12. I probably should have cut a size 14, so I went ahead and omitted the back darts because that was making it extremely tight for me. And next time I make this, because there will be a next time, I plan to actually raise the bodice by about 1 inch. I would love for it to sit here at my natural waistline. When I turn to my profile, I feel like that is sitting really low on me in the back. So I'd like for it to be just a little bit higher right here. And then I think I would be really thrilled with it. I did not use the skirt that comes with the pattern piece, mainly because of the fabric I was using. I did not have enough to do that for the length that I wanted, so I just created a 2-tiered gathered skirt to attach to the bodice. Really recommend Butterick B6702. I think it's a fabulous shirt dress pattern. The fit that you get in this bodice is very impressive, and if you've never done a 2-piece collar, now's your time. I am really proud that I figured out how to do it. It does have a different look, like the way that it sits up so beautifully. I'm used to the one-piece collar, and I must say I do prefer the two-piece. All right, so that is what I am wearing. And then after I made this, because I needed to just like rest a little bit, let it sink in, because I was a little bit upset with how the bodice turned out, I went ahead into my stash and I pulled out this linen rayon fabric that I picked up from Mood Fabrics in my birthday haul from this year. Now, if you watch that video, I would love for you to sound off in the comments down below. You can pause it right here. Do you remember what I said I wanted to make out of this beautiful fabric? I'll wait. If you guessed high-waisted, wide-leg trousers, you are correct, my friends, in good memory. So that's exactly what I made. I made myself a really beautiful pair of high-waisted pants, and I went back to an old faithful, Simplicity 1069. I remember the first time I made this, I knew it was going to be one of those tried and true patterns. I used a beautiful viscose, also from Mood Fabrics, when I made it, and I wanted to revisit it so bad. I ended up sewing the view right up here, view A, and I omitted the waist tie and the belt loop carriers, but otherwise, it's a beautiful pattern. It has 4 pattern pieces. You have a front, a back, and the facing pieces. I cut out a straight size 16 so that it would fit around my hips, but because it's such a fitted section at the waist, I should have graded down to maybe a size 12 even at the waist. I didn't. I cut a straight size 16. So what I ended up doing was, in this really back section here between the invisible zipper, I went ahead and put a 3-inch elastic in there. So you can see it just nips it in a little bit. I did not do any top stitching, but I need to go back and add the top stitching there because it sits on my body really awkwardly. You have the facing and the elastic sort of pressing onto my back, which is what I want. But then the fabric of the linen is just sort of floating in midair, so it looks really awkward. So I do need to top stitch it. The only reason I didn't was because I didn't know what color I wanted to go with. I sewed everything else up in black, but because of the floral details, I didn't know if it would be too obvious if I stitched it over in black. It is behind me, like maybe it's not such a big deal, but I was a little bit unsure of it, which is why I haven't done it yet. I had this other sort of like slate, almost like a gray color thread that seemed to be a better match with the flowers and everything that was happening back there. So I was just trying to weigh out my options, but that is the final thing I would do to this. I made it super maxi length with the idea that I would wear it primarily with heels. So I added about 5 inches to the length of it, mainly because I knew I wanted a really deep cuff. So this is flipped in once at a full inch, and then it's flipped in again at about 2.5 inches. So all in all, I think the added length was maybe 2.5 inches that I added, just to make sure that it was long enough to wear with heels. I'm really, really pleased with it. I ended up wearing it for Thanksgiving yesterday, and I paired it with my black Gable top that I recently made. So I'm really happy with these. It was so easy to put together. I'm actually shocked. I don't know why I don't make bottoms enough. I think I've been testing out, I know why I don't make bottoms enough. It's fit. That's why. But because you have these beautiful 2 pleats in the front, once you get it to fit around the hips comfortably, honestly, once I grade down the waistline to possibly a size 12 and grade out to a size 16 at the hips, I think that can be a really great tried and true pattern for me. It's one that you could potentially, or I could potentially sew up in a day. I really plan to make more of those. I do sort of miss having pockets in this pattern when I wore it yesterday, but there are a number of high-waisted, you know, trousers that I own, like that are shop bought, that don't have pockets, and I find that that silhouette works for me because then I don't have to worry about the gaping at the hip. So it is what it is. Now, what's next for me? I think I'm in the mood to sew more bottoms. So the next pattern that I have up is Simplicity 8655. So this is the Mimi G pattern. I want to do the like really slim leg version there. I had mentioned previously that I have two stretch wovens that I'm thinking about doing in that pattern. The first is this gorgeous, how would I describe this color? It's like a really deep, warm brown, toffee almost color, in this like velvet like texture, and it does have stretch, not in that direction. It does have stretch in this direction, like just a little bit of give, and I think it would be great in like that really sleek silhouette, and that's what I want to make. That's the first pair. And then I have this faux leather that I picked up from G Street Fabrics last year. Both of these are from the dead stock section in G Street Fabrics, and that has some stretch, and it's just so supple, like on its surface, very velvety. The back of it is almost furry, like I don't know how to describe it, but very, very soft. So I was thinking that this would make a really great pair of, I won't call it leggings, but since it's a really slim leg, instead of making leggings, that this would be a really good option to have some faux leather, like slim leg pants. I would be really into that. And this is another pant pattern that seems really simple. It has the front, the back, and you have the two facing pieces, so seems super simple. It has a zipper up the side seam. I am going to be mindful to get the grading right on this, so possibly cut a size 12 at the waist and grade out to a size 16. Because it has that little bit of give in the fabrics that I'm using, this might be a bit more forgiving. They also have this really beautiful sort of like pin tuck, like really thin tuck detail that makes this line in the center and in the back leg, which I'm really excited about to do in that faux leather as well as in that velvet fabric. I think it's just a nice little detail there, almost like a crease, but a permanent crease, which is pretty nice. The other thing that I really want to get sewn up is a slip skirt. I've wanted a slip skirt for a bajillion years and haven't sewn them. I hear individuals talk about how easy it is to make. I want to make one. So I recently saw Whitney from Tomcat Stitchery, and she made this McCall's pattern, which I've had in my stash. It's McCall's 7931, and it's gorgeous. I would make the longer version. I'd probably have to lengthen mine even a little bit more, but I would make basically view D. What she did that I thought was so genius was that she added elastic like under the facing of it, or no, she added elastic instead of the facing, just to have it nip in just a little bit. And I thought that was brilliant. So that's exactly what I plan to do for mine, just to give it a nice clean finish on the inside, but also to give it just that little bit more give. It does have a side seam zipper, and then using the elastic just for good measure, so that as weight fluctuates just a little bit, you still have great wearing ease. And because it's bias cut, it's already going to be forgiving in all of the other areas. So I'm really excited about that. I also pulled out a vintage McCall's pattern that I have 8796. So this is a 2-hour bias cut skirt. I would make the center version here. This just has a number of different bias cut skirts, and that one is the more A-line version, but I love the length of it. So that's another option for me. The fabric that I want to use for my first one is this beautiful, almost like champagne color fabric. It's like, I don't know how to describe this fabric, but it feels buttery soft on the front. It's not crepe back at all, but it just has a good weight to it also. So I had thrifted this fabric a while ago. I think the drape of it is gorgeous, and this would be a nice neutral color for me to have as a slip skirt. I think it would be timeless. So I really want to get that sewn up, and if it is indeed a 2-hour skirt. If I go ahead and do that elastic trick for the facing, I'm gonna be so happy. And I have a number of different fabrics in my stash that would be fantastic as slip skirts. So long as I figure out what pattern I want to use, I think that's going to be a really nice new sort of quick make for me. And I'm excited to start learning some quick make patterns after I do some more intricate things like this butterick dress. So I haven't done for this season any sort of plans video, but that does not mean that I don't have plans. I do, in fact. I went in my stash and I actually pulled out fabrics that I'm really looking forward to working with. And for those of you who have a good eye or a great memory, as I've been sewing up garments recently, you probably noticed that they kind of go together really well. And that is because I actually pulled out colors in a very similar palette. So I have a lot of creams, black, and this olive green color. These are the fabrics here. And it's been so nice working out of that palette. And when I do sort of my various videos, it's awesome when things just naturally go together because they were well thought out in advance. And that's been a joy to be sewing at this time. In 2021, when I first started my sewing videos on this channel, a lot of them were like color themed, like my black and white collection or the red collection. And it was my dream to like have a full year where every single month I was doing and sewing up in a theme based around the color story. And that quickly fell off with the vacation collection. But I don't want to say that this is the green collection, but it's very similar. So this is the palette that I'm working with, and it's so exciting. As you can see, this is sort of in that same palette. So I pulled things that would kind of go together, and that has been a joy. When I'm sewing a dress that you just wear by itself, of course, it can take on a life of its own. I do give myself, like, I'm permitted to go off and, you know, sew something completely outside of this palette for sure. But these are the fabrics that currently live in my sewing room, so that when I'm inspired to make something new, I go directly into this pile of fabrics first and see if one of these would be suitable for the thing that I'm inspired to try at the moment. And they all sort of have loose ideas about what I might make with them, but I'm of course giving myself some luxury and leeway there. So I just wanted to show you that I was working out of a palette. Today, actually, once I'm done here, I'm gonna meet up with my mom and we have a date to go to IKEA to see if we can find a sewing table for her to put in her sewing space. And then also we're gonna go to G Street Fabrics for their Black Friday sale, of course. If you are interested, they're having a sale. It started yesterday and it's running through Monday. So if you're in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, it's my favorite fabric store for sure. But yeah, not affiliated in any way, just a huge fan. And I wanted to let you know. So I'm going to go see if I can find anything in their remnants in the $2.97 dead stock section, which are my usual go-tos. And then possibly, since it's on like mega sale, I'm going to check the actual floor and see what they have out that I usually don't treat myself to, but we shall see if there's anything that catches my eye. Other than that, I think I'm done. I think I'm just rambling at this point. I hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving and are looking forward to the upcoming holiday seasons and that you get some sewing in. Until next time, stay creative, friends. Bye-bye.